The quiet walks, the noisy fun, the
Part of our Lakefield Historical Society's project of interviewing people who have a long connection with their village and getting their memories and their experience. That's you and I tonight, Jean.
Oh.
Okay. First, to begin, where were you born, Jean?
On my grandfather's farm at Lynch's Rock.
At Lynch's Rock, And were you farming? Was your father farming at that
Well,
time?
he farmed in Smith Township.
Oh, but you resided at Lynch's Rock in Durham?
Just while I was being born.
Oh, okay. Right. And who was the midwife?
Well, the two
To your mother?
Dr. Frasers were
Oh.
there. An old doctor and Alec.
And so that'd be Dr. J.R. Fraser?
J.R.
And his
Alec.
son Alec. Oh, wouldn't that be? You don't remember?
Not too well.
No. Oh, that was nice. And your parents, your father was whom?
Wilbert Frankish.
Wilbert Frankish. And
He was the oldest of his family.
he's the oldest boy in the family?
Yeah.
And what were his brothers?
Roy and Percy.
Roy and Percy.
And a sister, Edna.
Sister
Richardson.
Edna, who married Stan Richardson?
Right.
And where had your father been raised? Frankish is a long-term name in the area.
Yeah, on the farm out on Highway 28 now, was Mrs. Moody's farm.
Oh, Susanna Moody's.
Yes.
Okay. So that's Highway 28 north of the Grove School.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I might add, as we go along, if someone has any questions, please feel free to interject, because we got this lady on the hot seat and we want to take advantage of her when we can. And your mother's maiden name was?
Cecilia Dunford.
And do you remember her brothers and sisters?
Oh, yes.
And who were they?
Oh, I can't give them in order of their age, I don't believe, but there was Oscar and Wellington and Bruce and Harry, Russell. I don't leave any road, I'll be in trouble. She had one brother die at 21 with a ruptured appendix. And she had one sister and one half-sister, Susan Reed and Cora Dunford.
Oh, okay. And where was your mother raised? Do you remember?
She was born in Monmouth Township, that's up at Wilberforce.
Oh.
And the house is still there.
And her father was William J. Dunford?
Yes.
And in later years, he moved to Lakefield from up north.
From up, yeah, to this farm at Lynch's Rock. I believe that's where he first went.
And he lived on Chippewa Street, did he not?
He retired on Chippewa, Street.
Yeah. Your grandma used to put the cookies to me.
Did she?
Yeah. My mother was a Dunford.
I didn't get that.
Yeah. John says we were here before God, but actually we were God's children, the Dunfords.
Yes.
When you were a child, who did you use as a doctor? Who was your doctor in the area?
Alec Fraser.
It continued to be.
Yes.
I see. And you moved into Lakefield. You were at a later date, or what? How old?
I was not quite 5.
And you moved to Lakefield. And that would be a new experience for you. It wouldn't be long. You'd be going to school.
That's right.
And where did you go to school?
To the old school, as we call it, with that house, public and high, up on Ermitanger.
And your first teacher was?
Elsie Kim.
I know, I think we've heard that before, but he's not on video. And who was the principal of your public school then, Jane?
Mr. Chaplin, Tommy Chaplin.
Oh, yes. And did he remain as principal, or did he win any other vocation, or?
Well, he did later on. He was still principal when I finished public school, but he became postmaster.
Oh, yes, postman, And did you write your entrance then?
Yes.
Of course, you'd get a recommendation, right?
No, you have to write it as far as I
Oh, my
remember.
goodness. And Mr. Jackman taught grade 8 as principal. That was usually the case, but
Yes, he did.
he did. Did you have any other primary school teachers that you remember with vivid?
Well, I had Thelma Medill, who's still with us.
Oh.
Don't think, are there any others living in
Miss
this?
Kennedy?
Well, she's passed away.
Yeah.
I had Eileen Young.
Oh, did you? Oh,
Yeah.
you're younger than me, I forgot.
Did you have any memorable events in school? Like, did they used to let you out to go skating, or
No,
Yeah.
not that I recall.
what did you do at recess?
Well, we had teeters and we had big toboggan slides for winter, and the odd one fell off and broke an arm. And
Was that old pump house down at the end of the school then?
Yeah, Mr. Stanner lived in the house there and was the
Yeah.
custodian.
Who were some of your schoolmates, do you remember?
Well, Maxine Hunter, she was.
Oh, yes, Maxine Jessup.
We were friends from when I moved to Lakefield, because we were and we still remain good friends.
Oh, uh-huh.
And Minta lived around the corner, but.
And,
A little younger.
and then you went into high school. And who was the principal of high school?
Mr. John F. Harvey.
And most people, when they say that name, they say it with both awe and reverence. And is that what you intended?
And a little trembling to boot.
He was a disciplinarian, was he?
He was.
Yeah. He was a big man, was he not?
Very tall,
Uh-huh.
yes, but a very nice man.
Nice man. A good teacher?
Yes, he taught English. Mhm.
Uh-huh. And did you have any discipline problems with him?
Not that I recall.
No.
The only, I can tell you one funny incident though with him. We had 11 and 12 in the one room. No, Minta wouldn't be there. But he came in after lunch and he had a habit of leaning over the desk. He was a big man. He leaned over the desk, and as he bent over, his fly opened up. And Iva, Jackman, I don't know whether anyone knows her, was sitting in the front seat. I was back, probably 3 or 4, and I could see her shoulders start to shake. It wasn't long until everybody was, So finally, Mr. Harvey, I guess, decided there was something wrong, and he left the room and he came back. He was
Probably a tired. Well, now, I know that's probably one of the more humorous things. What other things was he noted for? Like, did you have any sporting teams, or?
Oh, yeah, they had hockey and football in those days.
I
I
see.
think there were cadets and Minta,
Yeah.
but he still
Yeah.
still had
You had cadets?
but
I
not
see.
for long after that.
No.
Well, the war broke out.
And what year did you graduate from high school?
44.
And 44, yeah, That's when we started to feel confident we might win the war, wasn't it?
Well, that's because of all the socks we knit and scarves.
You socked it right to our troops.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah, you did knitting, or the high school girls do knitting?
Yeah, we had a Red Cross Society,
Uh-huh.
and we packed boxes with, toothpaste, and I don't remember. Connie probably remembers.
Cigarette.
We'd send cigarettes, I don't remember.
And did you have a junior Red Cross, or like?
Yeah,
you
and
were-
that was the school, at
Uh-huh.
school, yeah.
I see. And where were your commencement exercises held?
Town hall.
In the town hall, yeah, and so were ours, yeah. And that was an acceptable place for our school to have meetings then. Did you have any school dances?
Oh, yeah, out in the hall.
Well, in the downstairs hall of the high school?
Yeah. Well, I remember them. Yeah, it'd be the high school, yeah.
Uh-huh.
11, 12, 13 in
I
that
see.
hall, yeah.
And,
Well, they had a big dance in the hall, town hall, I guess.
Commencement was always in the town hall.
Yeah, well, the dance. Yeah.
and would you wear formals at that time on the big dance? It was certainly nice to hear the rustle of the crinolines, wasn't it? Anyhow, we'll move along. Your church. Where did you go to church, Jane?
United Church.
United Church, and did you go to Sunday school there?
Oh, yes. Sometimes church twice a day.
Morning and evening?
Yes.
Do they still hold morning and evening services there? No. Why do you think that? People are quicker learners now, or?
I probably.
And Sunday school, who were, do you remember your Sunday school teacher, Jean?
Well, I remember the one we had in the first class, and it was a Mrs. Baker.
Baker?
And her granddaughter attended the little reunion get-together we had here a month or so ago.
Oh,
Doris.
I see.
I don't know how she heard about it. Do you know how she heard about it?
Through Jean Puffer. I think Jean's son or somebody is friends or lives near them. It was
Oh,
through Jean anyway.
I see.
Because she brought Jean a picture of her grandmother and gave it to her that day, so it was through that connection.
And there was a Mrs. Sanderson. Miss Sanderson.
Yeah.
Mrs. Sanderson, yeah?
Mrs.
Mrs. John
Melbourne?
Sanderson?
No,
No.
Ned. They
Oh.
lived beside Grandpa Dunford in Chippewa.
Okay. Who was your minister then?
Archer? Well, the Reverend Archer, and then
Mr.
Oh.
Keller.
Mr. Kelly after, was it?
Reverend Archer and then Reverend Kelly?
Mhm.
And were you married by whom?
Reverend Kelly.
Reverend Kelly, okay. Were you a member of the United Church Women Club?
Yes.
And are you yet? And do you remember any Sunday school picnics or things like that?
The Stony Lake, yes.
How would you get there?
Well, the pulled into the dock over
Oh,
here.
you went on the boat, on the
Oh, yes,
Stony Lake boat?
Yeah, oh, yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Uh-huh.
I forget these young ones don't know.
And that'd be a pretty exciting event, wouldn't it?
It was.
And where did you go? Forsyth Park or?
Well, I don't.
Crow's
did we-
Landing and McCracken's
Did we
Landing.
stop and, I think we ate on the boat, didn't
Oh, you had to take your lunch, yeah.
we? Yeah.
I might add that Jean is being aided by another long-term resident, Connie Orr, and that's nice. Thank you, Connie.
Oh, that's permissible, is it?
Oh,
Can I ask
absolutely.
for it back up?
Yeah, you can ask. It's nice if you introduce them. But nothing as long as John. Identify them would be a better word. So, would you go swimming on these Sunday school picnics, or just go for a nice boat ride?
Well, I didn't go swimming.
No.
I don't think people went swimming.
Uh-huh. Did they have ice cream?
I'm not sure, I can't remember.
Anyway, this is your interview, but I remember when my Sunday school picnics, they had these big brown K-Pock packed bags that they bring the ice cream in. And,
Oh, yeah.
and it was about a day and a half to get them open. And about 5 minutes to eat the ice cream. But do you remember those? Anyhow, when you were in your youth, what recreation were you involved in Lakefield? Were you a swimmer at all?
No.
Your friends, Webb and Cecilia forbid you to go near the water?
No, but I nearly drowned in Rice Lake.
You almost drowned in
When I was
Rice?
about 5, and that finished me with water.
How did that happen, Jim?
I fell out of a boat while my parents were fishing.
I see.
These were sitting with their back to me. I guess they wanted to, maybe they wanted to dump me, I don't know.
And did they get you quickly, or did?
My father was just able to reach me, and it was because I had a big coat, a heavy coat, but it wasn't buttoned, and it sort of flopped out in the water, and
Oh, I see.
I went down slowly. I didn't weigh as much as I do now.
Did you do any skating when you were young?
Tried, but
And where did you skate?
Old skates. Well, the old arena on the,
On Colburn Street, that one? Uh-huh. That street they're trying to change the name of.
is that one of them?
Yeah. Yeah. So you skated on Colburn Street, and was that the arena that had the curling rink also?
Yes. On the other side.
Was your father a curler?
No.
No. And do you do any dancing in those days?
Little.
And where? Did you dance at the
Well,
pavilion at all?
No, I can remember being there and watching, you know.
Do you remember? Okay. Do you recall the time that the people went in the canal coming home from the
Oh,
dance?
very well.
They did. What happened there, do you think?
The ones that went down past where the IGA is now and into the
Yes.
raceway?
Like they're going south on Queen Street, and I guess they went straight on down into the water,
Oh,
did
I
they?
have no idea what happened.
Well, wasn't it a
But-
midnight frolic or something in the going home when they used to have dances at midnight on Sunday night? And you know, that was a holiday Monday, and I can remember that Bessie had classes. It was the 24th of May, and because we were going to write departmental, she had a class on that day, and we went to school in the morning, but none of us went in the afternoon. We went down and watched them pull the car out of the lake.
Well, Jean, I've been privileged. Jean has shown me a scrapbook that she has, and she has a picture of them lined along the banks from the up from the powerhouse. It seems maybe down from the Chamber of Commerce building, where people are just lined along there when they pull out this car. There must be 200 or 300 people, and Jean has the photo
Well,
of it.
I don't remember
What what year would you be in school then, Jean? Do you remember?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, uh-huh.
I don't know what
And,
happened.
but did you have any school plays or any community plays or anything like that, like theater?
Well, there were lots of plays put on.
Uh-huh.
I think the high school usually had one. Cora was probably. That's Cora Hendren too, when I'm speaking.
Excellent. Yes. And Cora was quite a good singer also, was she not?
That's how we distinguish one from the other.
And did Cora would play the lead part in the singing? I don't doubt it.
I think so, and I remember being in something that, what would your mother have belonged to, Cora? Was it, they were putting, Institute, would she be an Institute member?
No, but she directed a lot of the plays.
Well, it was something, and I was in it too. And I don't know why.
She always had a finger in a lot of
Yeah.
Because I couldn't sing, but I can remember your mother, and I remember her remarking then that she thought I looked like you. Gee, you're lucky.
I was in a play your mother directed.
Where would they have that play?
Town hall.
Town hall? And would you practice for a long time, Cora?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh. So it was quite a production. And
Oh,
you
yeah.
fill the
Yeah.
town hall? Would you have it
Yeah.
several
Big
evenings?
event.
Several evenings? Or just once?
Now that, I don't know for sure. Maybe one, but maybe more. I can't be sure of that.
Did you go to any hockey games?
Certainly.
Oh. And who was some of your favorite hockey players?
Oh, it was Joe Blewett and Woody Moran and Harry Jewell and, who was the other one?
Uh-huh.
Oh, goodness. Sorry. I
Homer
can't
in there
remember.
too?
Yeah.
Is Homer in there too? Did you play
Homer?
hockey?
No. Don't remember
Well,
that.
I just, not long ago, I spoke with Woody Moran, and he really speaks so favorably for Tommy Chaplin, Mr. Chaplin, the principal. He says he was a great help in organizing them in sports and things like that. Was he more male-oriented, or did he have activities or things for the girls to do also? Or just follow the boys?
I don't recall. I don't think,
Yeah.
did we have girls
Okay.
hockey? I don't think it was girls hockey then.
I see. How about softball games? Do girls play softball or anything like that nature?
We did for PT, we called it.
Physical training, eh? Or physical torture.
If you pick.
Uh-huh. And, but you'd play at recess or at, and it was organized by your school, eh? When we were talking about teachers, is there any memorable teachers? Like, who would you rate as one of the, your guiding lights as a teacher in education?
Well, Jean mentioned having Miss Kennedy in public school.
Is that Emma?
Emma.
Uh-huh.
Now, she was pretty strict, but she was a very good teacher. I think that's all that got me through math, Miss Kennedy.
And how about in high school? Was there any memorable teachers that you had there that really stood out in your mind?
Well, we had Mrs. Stabler. Started out being Miss Dunn, and then she became Mrs. Stabler. She taught French and Latin. She was a good teacher, and I liked both of them. I had Mr. Minchell, who now is retired to Lakefield. He was.
Oh, yes?
We had him his first year out of university.
When you were, did they have regattas when you were young? Like Lakefield is known to be quite a center for water sports and regattas. Were they being held then?
Well, I think we still had regattas, but I can't remember too much about them.
Wasn't a big thing in your life anyhow. Okay. And did you have a toboggan?
No, we had a bobsleigh that Uncle Stanley Richardson made.
Oh.
So we could start in the front yard. We lived up on the top end of Strickland, and you could start out in the front yard and come right down to the highway.
Oh, at Queen Street?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Oh, and did, was that done frequently?
Well, God willing, weather permitting, and we
Yeah,
had
like-
nice deep ditches
Like
on both
groups
sides.
and parties, and is that what you do in the evenings at times? Go to,
No, just family.
okay. Shopping. Everybody has to be a shopper in their own way or form. Where, your family, when you were a child, where did you buy your groceries?
Spencer's.
Spencer's store, eh? Uh-huh. And we have the youngest daughter, Jean, here with us this evening. Jean Spence, yeah. And that's, did you buy meat there also? Where'd you-
No, bought meat from Mr. Crawford.
Teddy Crawford. Uh-huh. And what about clothes? Where would you buy your clothes?
Well, my mother sold most of my clothes.
Oh, I see. Uh-huh. You didn't, did Merle Crawford's father, did he have the clothing store in those days?
I guess he did, but I didn't get
You
any
don't,
clothes.
you didn't deal with him, or you don't recollect him. Did you get the newspaper when you were a child, do you remember?
I think you always got a paper.
Be the Examiner, probably?
Yeah.
Do you remember the Lakefield papers in those days?
Yes, Mr. Redpath.
Mr. J.W. Redpath
Redpath.
published the paper, didn't he?
Smoked cigars.
What about milk? Do you have home delivery then?
Yes. Yes.
Was Mr. J.W. Redpath, speaking of him, was he in the school board when he went to school,
He
you know?
was, yes.
When I was, he was also. He used to come and give us a speech every year. Tell us about shinny on your own side. Do you remember that game? It was a game that the boys used to play. It was a kind of a get-even game. You kick the other guy in the shins.
Oh.
I could have been in the Hall of Fame. But he used to come and speak to us. He's a dear old fellow.
It wasn't.
Yeah. So you got your milk from where? Home
the
delivery?
dairy, yeah.
Percy Darrell. There were 3 or 4 dairies.
There was Herb Kemp
Mr.
and the
Kemp
late
had one.
Mr.
Blake,
who?
Mr. Blake?
Kemp,
Herb Kemp, yeah, uh-huh.
Blakely.
Blakely?
Clarence Coons.
Yeah, Glenwood Farms,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
We got ours from Percy Darling.
Percy, oh, yes, that's right, uh-huh. Okay. And, Percy Darling, did he have the dairy at the corner of Regent and Albert, right, uh-huh, which is now a house. And where'd you get your cheese? You buy it, or did you go to the factory? Do you remember going to the factories at all?
Well, I can remember going to the cheese factory with my grandfather on the Democrat.
Oh, yeah.
When we took the cream to the cheese factory.
You delivered the cream to the cheese factory? Uh-huh.
But I don't remember going to buy cheese.
I see. And which cheese factory would that be?
Howard Andrews?
Pine Grove?
Pine Grove.
Okay. Uh-huh. Were you ever quarantined for any contagious disease or anything? No?
This is pure.
Do you remember those who were?
I can remember houses being quarantined.
Yeah. I remember one time we had scarlet fever, and I think I'd sooner been in jail. At least we'd have seen strange faces. But you never were quarantined?
No.
Oh, no. Okay. You're a very healthy person, Jane.
Oh, yeah.
You would have been a teenager in the Second World War then.
Yes.
Uh-huh. You've already described that you knit and you sent scarves and socks and things like that over. Did you know many people from Lakefield who were in the service?
Well, the boys that had been in high school, you know, the ones we were sending the boxes to, sure. In those days, you knew everybody in Lakefield anyway.
Sure. Uh-huh. Do you know anybody that, do you remember any specifically that were killed in the war? Lakefield boys?
I always remember the ones on Chippewa Avenue.
Three of them.
Jack Morrison and Mark Bullock and Bernard Burroughs. They just lived a few houses apart.
Uh-huh.
All three.
And 3 boys in the one street were killed on Chippewa Avenue.
A little short street.
Yeah, uh-huh. Indeed. Were you victim of the rationing? Or a
yes.
contributor to the rationing? We didn't really see ourselves as victims, I don't think,
No.
did you?
No, I don't
No.
think everybody
What was
in the same
ration?
boat. Sugar,
Sugar was rationed?
gasoline.
What did your dad work at then in those years?
He worked for the Lakefield dairy.
Dairy. For George Graham?
Charlie Hunter
Charlie Hunter. Uh-huh.
and George.
Well, your dad was involved in politics, was he not?
Yes.
Was he of the same faith as Charlie, as George?
I don't seem to think he was.
I don't myself either. I had the privilege of serving on the village council with Jane's father, who was at Wilbert, who was a wonderful man. But what persuasion do you think he might have been?
Well, he never said too much about it, but I rather think it was liberal.
Did he encourage you to vote, or
He surely did.
in what way?
I was in training, and in Peterborough, and it was long distance to phone from Lakefield to Peterborough, and we didn't make many long distance calls, believe me. But I got a phone call on the day of the election saying, "Gene, you be sure to get out to vote."
And he rather had an idea how you were going to vote.
He didn't say how, but he just said, "Be
Yeah.
sure you vote."
Do you think if he would have been as exuberant if had he known you might have gone the other way?
Probably not.
Jane, your father was a wonderful man, and you have a lot of his qualities in your mother.
I do.
Jean has a great sense of humor, and those who know her, just, it's always a pleasure to meet her. The sugar was rationed?
Yes.
How about butter?
Yes.
Uh-huh. So you left Lakefield and you went, you're accepted into the School of Nursing in Peterborough? And how old would you be when you went in there?
19 or, well, like, 19.
Okay. And had you your senior matriculation then, your grade 13?
I think I lacked one subject,
I see. But you were accepted into nursing.
and that was.
That was something that didn't involve the health of the nation anyhow.
Yes.
And so, where did you start? At Nichols Hospital?
It was the Nichols when we started, and then I think we were there about a year when it changed to Civic,
Oh.
Peterborough Civic.
But it still was located there, was it
Oh,
not?
the same hospital, same building, just
Yeah.
the city took it over.
Where's that, on Argyle Street?
Our doctor.
And was there a nurse's residence there?
Well, when we went in, we had about, we had
Four. 3 or 4.
But I mean, in
Calvin.
a class, where there were,
Oh.
we started out with probably 35 or.
30,
we were fast
35,
leading out.
36, yeah.
But we had 4 residences, did you say, Minta?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's Minta Griffin I'm speaking to.
thank you. Yeah. How many years for training did you go through?
3.
And then you became an RN?
If you passed your exams, yeah.
Oh, after completing that, you had to write RN exam?
We did, and we also had to make up for every half day sick that you were sick. You got no sick time allowed.
I see. Was there any allowance, any spending money granted to you or at all?
Not for the first 3 months, I guess.
No.
Yeah.
And then we got $6 a month. The second year, we got $8 a month, and the third year, we got $10 a month.
I see. Uh-huh. And when you graduated, did you nurse in the hospital?
For a very short time.
I see. And then you were married?
Yeah, I'm 48,
Married, and you married Eric?
October.
Eric Jackman?
Yes,
Uh-huh. And who was the minister who married you?
Reverend Kelly.
Reverend Kelly. Uh-huh. And you went to work in Lakefield then, or did you stop to raise a family? Or?
Yeah, no, we had three children, 1 girl, 2 boys. And no, I didn't start to work, well, I did some private nursing. You know, grandparents, uncle,
Okay.
Nurse Dr. John Sheeran's grandmother for several nights. One night was Hurricane Hazel night.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was an exciting week.
And where did she live, Dr. Sheeran's grandmother?
On the corner of Albert and
In the Sheeran home?
Regent.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh. When did you start work for Dr. Gassel? Do you remember?
In 1969.
And who worked there with you?
Oh, there were a lot of us. He had quite a harem. Brenda Trude and Helen Twist. Merle Porter worked there for a time. Gail Wasson worked there for a time.
Betty Lee.
Then Linda. Oh, well, Betty, I never worked with Betty Lake. Betty had quit, that's when
I see.
I started.
Okay. And what's the first car you and Eric ever owned?
Oh my gosh. I'm not very good with cars. I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
It was an old thing, I know.
Uh-huh. Okay. Jean, where'd you get your good sense of humor?
Maybe my father?
Okay. Do you have any memorable stories you could share with us from your time at Dr. Gassel? I know you have many, but I'm wondering if you'd share it.
Oh, let me see. Could I tell? Well, a nice hot summer day, and unlike the present doctors, we look after tourists as well, so we were filled to the rafters, and it was hot and humid, and he didn't believe in air conditioning. And I was pretty steamy hot, and I saw this bus pull up. And a lady came in, rapped on the waiting room door, and I went out, and she said, could the doctor see a lady on the bus? She was sick. So I said, oh yes, yeah, we will. So I went in, told the doctor, so he grabbed a stethoscope, and I grabbed the, I don't know, thermometer or something or other. So we were heading out to the bus to administer to this dear soul, and I see people walking down the aisle in the bus, and they come out of the bus, and so she's all ready to come into the office. So I cleared out one room and sat her down, and he's, got the stethoscope, and but my nose was telling me something. And she's kind of muttering, but he doesn't hear her with these things in his ears. So I said to him, I think she wants to go to the bathroom. And it was a bit late, but I took her in. And this was a busload of seniors that had come from Toronto, and they had been up to maybe Viamede, I'm not sure where they'd been. But I know that old dear had that problem in the morning when she left Toronto, because she had a spare pair in her purse.
Oh.
But anyway, when I got her in the bathroom, she asked me if I had a pair of scissors. And I said, well, yes. I thought, what is she going to do with the scissors? But let me tell you, she had to cut what she had on off. That bad. Oh. And the rest is...
And what did Dr. Gassel say about that? He said that was a nurse's duty?
Well, oh, yes, if a kid, threw up all over the place, it was ching!
And he would kid you about that for years, I'm sure,
Oh,
did
he
he?
pulled a lot of jokes on me.
Did he? Uh-huh. You must have enjoyed working there.
I did.
Uh,
I missed it.
I bet you did. Yeah. Jane, life easier for you than for your parents?
Oh, I'm sure.
Uh,
Absolutely.
Uh-huh. Any advice that you'd give to young people if, that you'd like to tell your children, or like to tell young people if they're starting out? Anything that you feel helps them along, sustain them?
Well, there are a few kids I'd like to tell quite a bit to. Not necessarily my own. I've probably told them all. I didn't know I was going to have to be philosophical.
No. Well, you're going to leave that to their own parents, then, right? That's fine. You're free to do that.
Yeah, those, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Jean, that's all the questions I have. Anybody have anything they'd like to ask of Jean, or share with her, or so on?
I have a question. What happened to those people in the car in the canal? Did
Oh,
they
they
get
were all
out?
drowned.
They drowned. Well, it was 5, wasn't it?
Five.
5 or 6.
5 died, yes.
You know, no, it was the 24th of May.
We never heard.
They didn't find it until the next day.
And they looked all over.
They didn't know that they
And
really
finally,
were.
all they could see was
Nobody
the
saw
car,
them.
tire marks down into the,
Yeah,
front-
but
it was right in front of the powerhouse. You know.
They come right down the main, straight down the main street, never made the turn, just straight
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
I think it might be nice, Neil, to have...
Jean, thank you very much. I
Neil?
appreciate you spending the time with us. Yeah.
I don't yell loud enough. I said, I think it'd be nice to have Jean record her own children, like who her own children are,
Oh.
just for the record.
Oh,
I have a daughter, Margaret. She has 2 daughters. She lives in Kingston. She's a nurse. And I have a son, Bill, and he lives in Lakefield, and he is a supervisor or something or other with the Peterborough Utilities in the electrical department. And my baby boy is Ken, and he's the deputy police chief, Peterborough, Lakefield.
thank you.
And I have 6 grandchildren.
6 grandchildren all told. And I understand one of them is going to university this year.
He's starting.
Yeah.
Adam,
Okay.
he's starting.
Could I ask a question? I wanted to ask you a question. You mentioned, was it your father, your grandfather who bought the movie farm?
My grandfather.
Your grandfather. How many acres and how clear, did you know how many acres and how clear was it when?
No, I don't know that part. The part closest to the lake, still has lots of bush and stuff
Yeah.
on it. Her well was there. I think they have filled it in with rocks. But it's very interesting.
Yes, it is very interesting.
We used to go down to the lake, through the fields, right along where they had their house. And, well, I presume their house was there, the well, they'd have it close to the well, I guess, so. But that got changed. But it was always...
Anything else? Jean, it's been our pleasure. I thank you. We will try to give you a copy of that video.
I don't know.
Oh, I'm not
And that
sure.
will be your gift for your appearance, and I hope you don't give us a hassle with the union.
No, I may give you a hassle over not telling me about the taping thing.
Oh, I thought I had.
No, you didn't.
Oh. I thought I said that.
Now.
Get this argument
Well,
on
thank
tape.
you.
Thank you, Gene.